Thanks for staying with Your View with me, Bongiwe, Zwane, standing in for JJ Dabane. We continue our conversation with Dr. Mamphela Ramphele, who is the co-founder of Reimagine South Africa. Now, before the break, we were talking about South Africans taking matters into their own hands and making sure that they hold those in public office to account. We did see a few years ago where, civil society groups and other political parties coming together, Save South Africa, rallying around a cause calling for President Jacob Zuma to step down. But what will it take again for South Africans to have that moment and to understand the power that they have?
Well, right now we've got the issue of the whole state capture being laid bare. And the Zondo Commission has provided us with enough evidence for us to understand just how complicit several key leaders in the ANC have been in the state capture process. It's not just Jacob Zuma. Of course, he was the main architect, but the trade union movement that told us as far back as 2007 that Zuma was a tsunami. The tsunami has now happened. The country is underwater. Who are the people responsible? And society to insist on is for President Cyril Ramaphosa to give all the resources that are needed for the MPA and the special investigating units, the Hawks, everyone, to hold to account, to bring to book all of those people who have been exposed through the Zondo Commission and the other commissions. There's no reason why the people who have milked the country through Bosasa, including the ANC as an organization, why are they not being brought to book? There is no reason why the people who have put Transnet, Eskom, and all the state-owned enterprises, including SAA, which are now demanding that's money, why are those people not being held to account? So that's what I think civil society must mobilize and insist that we want to see progress.
And when you talk about, that accountability and you seemingly lashing out at the ANC here, what alternative do the people of South Africa have when it comes to political parties? Because you also are seeing the official opposition, as some people would say, that it has become somewhat weakened.
Yeah, I'm not just lashing out at the ANC. I'm lashing out at the party structure as it currently is. And I'm saying, as I said in my opening comments, that we have made ourselves prisoners of political parties. It's not a question of what's the alternative. The Constitution gives us a right to organize as citizens. We can have independence, we can have constituencies at whatever level, organizing to send representatives to parliament. There is no law that says you can only vote for political parties. And that is the ruling of the Constitutional Court. So we need to make ourselves informed as citizens about the opportunities that are out there, instead of imprisoning ourselves to parties that are clearly failing us, because many of those parties are simply interested in staying in power. And it's not just the ANC, also the opposition parties are only interested, many of them, in being in parliament, where they are getting very well paid, they've got very good benefits. What we need in this country is control, or a government by the people for the people. And that is possible in our constitutional democratic dispensation. But we need to get ourselves educated. One of the things that great democracies across the globe have is civic education. We have young people qualifying as lawyers, as political scientists, as mathematicians, as doctors, without understanding what is the meaning of being a citizen. What are your rights? What are your responsibilities? Let alone the intricacies of representation in parliament. So we need, as South African citizens, to, in order to enhance the quality of our democracy, to insist on getting the public sector, which means our government and the state, to invest in civic education.
And I know that you say that people should not be, prisoners of political parties, but in the
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's the reason why, although one wanted to have an alliance with the DA, it became impossible because you can't have a partner who tells you at 2 a.m. in the morning that you have to have a meeting in the morning, you have got to do. It's a boss who wants to control how and when you meet and about what you meet. That can't work. But equally, Ahang's underperformance were not just that people didn't vote for us. I mean, I'll give you an example which shows you how really ridiculous our independent electoral commission is. In Langa, where we had a very strong branch, we had 1 vote. In Guguletu, there was a 0 vote, although we knew we had lots of members who. So the issue is not about just the failing of the DA or of the ANC, but it is system failure. People in the IEC see their, at least in the past, saw their role as ensuring that the ANC continues to win elections. In Zwane, where I was a doctor, and the whole Napuno district, which is a big district, they voted for Ahang. But at the time when the ballots or the voting station closed, the police who were there, who were young people whom I had looked after when they were children, they then recaptured those ballot boxes, and I tell you, they are still sitting in the magistrate offices in Linyenye. The IEC, when we reported the case to them, said, yes, we'll make sure that they are counted separately and so on. They're still coming to count them. So I'm telling you that we've got system failure in South Africa because we, the people, have allowed those in positions of decision-making to be unaccountable, including the Independent Electoral Commission.
And as a final question, and you talk about the system failure, and I would like us, to really probe this further in future. But as a final question from me, and looking at the work that you've done with the Democratic Alliance, do you think black liberals still have a place in that political party?
I don't believe in these categories of liberal, communist, and so on, because they mean nothing. What matters is to what extent do us as individual citizens, as citizens in constituencies, believe in the fundamental values of our constitutional democracies that are based on the values of human rights respect, which in our African heritage is Ubuntu. If you believe that I am because you are, You are not going to steal my vote. You are not going to humiliate me. You're not going to steal the money that is supposed to be paying for children's measles vaccines. You are not going to be able to steal money which is supposed to go and pay for school fees for students at the university. So what is missing in South Africa is a shared value system that underpins respect for human rights, for human dignity, and the understanding that my success is meaningless unless it is success that is shared by other people. And this is how we were brought up in the villages where we grew up, or in some of the townships where we grew up. And this is Africa's heritage. This is what Africa can give to the world. We just had a conference of the Club of Rome 2 weeks ago. The people who came from Europe, from Asia, from everywhere, they've gone back, not as the Club of Rome, but the Club of Home, because we reminded them that everybody comes from this continent, and this continent was able to evolve or to be the home where the human race evolved because the wisdom of our ancient fathers and grandmothers was to understand. Like the bees, the ants understand. One ant can't survive. It survives in a hive. And we in Africa, as far back as then, and this is how we evolved. The first human civilization was the Egyptian civilization, not an Arab Egyptian, an African, indigenous African civilization came from here because we understood that wisdom. Now, if we return there, we will be unbeatable as a country.
And Dr. Ramphele, thank you so much for your time this evening. I certainly wish that we can continue this conversation in the future. That was Dr. Mamphela Ramphele, who is the co-founder of Reimagine South Africa, talking to us there from Cape Town about how, as citizens, there's a lot of power that lies in the citizens' hands, and saying that, you know, a lot of those that are in public office should be held to account in order to make sure that whatever it is that they are being, you know, voted in to do, they have to do that for the citizens. Well, after 10 o'clock, we're bringing you a conversation between JJ and outgoing Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba. Stay with your view.